Is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 137. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Micho, and we call him E, a.k.a. Lee James, a.k.a. Sebastian Drew Easy, a.k.a. Eastradamus, a.k.a. Pap E, O. Daniel, a.k.a. The Fashionista, a.k.a. Chili Willie, a.k.a. Joe E. Chestnut, a.k.a. Eon Stonkel. E, sitting here on a Wednesday evening, beautiful Austin, Texas. Big match coming up this Saturday afternoon. Actually, the second earliest kickoff in club history. And we've got a little trip planned for ourselves as well. We will not be there. And one person is going to win 2 tickets, our tickets. Keep those butt grooves in line at the match on Saturday. Long-winded intro here, my friend. How you feeling?
I am doing well, still reveling in the Emiliano Rigoni savior goal from last weekend. But, time to shift the focus to this Galaxy club coming in here. What a team that they have. Just an absolutely potent offense that we're going to have to try to figure out how to account for. I'm still not necessarily sold on the type of strategy that I want to see employed by the coaching staff and the team here, but that's something we'll get into with the preview article that I read that was done by you. Very well done to highlight all the new faces that come in to Carson there and how they have produced at a alarming rate almost thus far this season. So excited for the people who are going to be able to sit in our spots and enjoy the game. Hopefully the Verde and Black boys can put on a good show for you. And that's called the double win there. That's the win-win.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this Galaxy team as well, because that's one thing you and I pretty much in constant communication really haven't talked about through the early parts of this week. So excited to get into that. We will have the ticket giveaway. We've got a new rumor surfaced out there for the summer window, last business day, and of course the nonsense. But before we jump into this evening's episode, just want to remind you, if you haven't yet, take 5 seconds, rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We would greatly appreciate it. And if you're watching on our YouTube channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It helps us grow the pod. You can also hit the notification bell to know when a live stream pops up or a new episode goes live. And on this episode, like the video, help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords, which you can also do by leaving a comment and joining in on the discussion. Any and all of that you would do for us, we would love you for it. Wash yourselves clean in the butt grooves of the North End. Before we get into the Galaxy preview, shout out to Brad Stuver, team of the match week. Once again, behind the clean sheet victory in Houston last Saturday. Well-deserved, Brad.
That's fantastic. I mean, he had at least one massive save in that game that, really propelled him into that lineup. And I saw something cool that the Fighting Leslies were doing there with some mattresses or something that they were giving away for like clean sheets and stuff. That seemed pretty cool.
Yeah, so I think that
partner with someone or something along those lines, but it was awesome nonetheless. And congrats to Brad for that. I don't have all the specifics on what the donation was, but if it's something you're interested in, go check out the Fighting Leslie's socials and we can get the breakdown there.
Yeah, I'm shocked that Bradley Scott Stuver is involved with another charitable endeavor. What I think is happening there with the Leslies, our buddy Aggie, I think has some sort of relation, maybe family ties to Milton Sleep Company. So that might be the connection there, because I saw that was the company behind that giving away or donating, I think, 10 mattresses per clean sheet. That looks awesome.
That's
Good work
awesome.
by all involved.
That's super cool. Yeah.
All right, let's jump into the Galaxy preview here. Like you said, this team is a behemoth, at least offensively, coming in through what they have put out there on the pitch so far this season. When it comes to that head-to-head record, the Galaxy have pretty much owned this. 4 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss for the Galaxy against Austin FC last season. Carson won the first matchup 2-0 at their place in April. Then we had to wait all the way until September. Of course, that highly emotional affair, rain-delayed return of Diego Fagundes to Q2 Stadium in that match, unfortunately for us, ending in a devastating 3-3 draw that essentially, not mathematically, but pretty much eliminated Austin FC from the postseason. last year. So hopefully our guys are harboring a little bit of resentment to that fact and get that little extra kick in the butt. Not that you should need it, but maybe.
We might need it, but yeah, that was a devastating draw. That was just absolutely brutal. So hopefully it's lingering in the back of the mind there. But this is going to be a test, man.
Austin FC's only win in this head-to-head series over the last 3 seasons came all the way in September of 2021, so a while ago. 2-1 home victory in that one behind goals from, here's some names for you, Musa Jite and Mackenzie Gaines. So it has been a while.
To say the least.
Yeah, and hopefully we can get off the schneid here in terms of getting another win in this series, but it's going to be tough, man, because this is a completely different Galaxy team, Galaxy roster, just the entire vibes around this franchise as a whole. This time last year, they were in shambles.
Disarray.
They in the middle of a boycott from their supporters groups who were not showing up at the stadium, protesting that, decade of up and down results, mostly down for them. This was a club that won 3 out of 4 during a stretch in the early 2010s in terms of MLS Cups. And then over their next 9 seasons, they only make the playoffs 4 times. So I can certainly understand going from the cream of the crop, one of, if not the best franchise in the league 10 years ago, to making the playoffs less than 50% of the time. And again, even before the league expanded the playoff spots last year, it was still, again, it's hard to miss the playoffs in this league. That definitely was still the case prior to last season. And a lot of that had to do with the designated players last year, right? Ricky Pooch is awesome and we love him, except, 32 times a year. But Chicharito took a little bit of a step back in the games that he did play, just 1 goal in the 9 appearances, and then tore his ACL, obviously now back with Chivas. And then Douglas Costa, both of his seasons with the Galaxy, started less than half the matches in both of those years. So that, again, it's night and day who's occupying those 2 spots now. Anything else for you before we kind of dive into maybe profiling some of these new guys?
I mean, Galaxy dealt with then the emergence of LAFC as well, coming in, taking a lot of their, shine and luster up there in California. I mean, every time I see Paintsel, man, he just pops off the screen for me. I remember the first game that I got to see him play, and I was just really shocked with his pace, his rate of play, the way he attacks. He's just creative in space. And, you pair that with Ricky Pooch there, as well as Dejan Jovalic, who we've been a big fan of for a while, again, for 32 games. And now
and I'd say pre-match last September, we had a nice little back and forth with him down there in the north end because nobody was out there.
Yeah, that was fun. He was giving us the business a little bit, and we were throwing it back at him. But it was a good back and forth there. And then you add in obviously Gabriel Peck, and it's these upgrades are huge. And we talked about, sometimes you have the DP guys come in and they kind of mail it in here in MLS after having some sort of illustrious career to any sort of degree. And that's really what happened with Costa there. And now you infuse this offense with young talent. Obviously, they made the trade for Diego, and having him as a bench option is quite the luxury there. He went from being probably the second best player on our club to not even being in the first 11 for this team. So that should probably highlight how good they are right now. And their offense is just truly humming. They're having a lot of fun doing it as well. And, we kind of chatted about how it's fun to root for Austin, but not necessarily fun to watch this team play. It's fun to watch the Galaxy play soccer because they play a high-powered, up and down kind of pace. And it's going to give us some issues here for sure.
$19 million combined in transfer fees to bring in Paintsel and Peck. Peck, $10 million. That is a franchise record transfer fee for the Galaxy. And you think about some of the names they have brought in. Of course, the DP rule is in place because they acquired David Beckham over a decade ago, and then Zlatan Ibrahimovic and a number of other players, right? Chicharito, very, very high profile. Peck and Paintsel, not just like you mentioned, right? These are young, hungry, still up and coming players. I believe Paintsel 26, Peck 23. And you mentioned Jovalic as well. He's sitting 3rd in the league, tied for 3rd in goals scored, behind only Chicho and who is it? Suarez, right? I think Suarez is on 7, if I'm not mistaken.
Morgan, Lewis Morgan.
No, he's not. I think he's on 6.
Okay.
We have the technology here. We can get this right. You would think with, writing this lengthy article that I would have that off the top of my head. How could I forget? It's not Suarez. It's Messi now with 7 goals behind Chicho. And then Jovic tied with a number of guys, Benteke and the like, with 6. But again, the goals, the assists are coming from everywhere. And it's not just those 4 names that we talked about, right? Jovic, Puig, almost said Puig, Paintsil, and Peck. The fact that these guys now have Marky Delgado and Gaston Brugman healthy and available behind Puig, like, their defense is still the weak spot here, but it's on the back line. That defensive midfield is so staunch, and really, like, they're both kind of just two-way guys. Like, the distribution from those two is extremely effective as well, especially through the beginning of this season. Again, the only weak point I can find here is the back line, and it's because we've got some relatively young and new guys at the fullback positions, and then some old heads at center back. And they will be down Eric Zavaleta this weekend, who I believe is their 3rd CB. So not losing a starter there, but some important center back depth for guys, both of their starting center backs in Yoshida and God, who's the other one? Caceres. Yeah, yep. Caceres. I believe both of those guys are in their early to mid 30s here. So you can see the difference, right? Where the XG for the Galaxy is near the top in the league. Pretty much the exact opposite of what you see here for Austin with a 7.6 total XG through 9 matches. The Galaxy, 18.2. But then you look at their expected goals against, and again, we like to lean on XG and these advanced metrics when they help us make our point. But I think it's notable, at least, that Austin has an XG against of 17, LA Galaxy XG against of 17. So they are going through their defensive struggles and woes as well. And I think on a game-to-game basis, they're still vulnerable enough at the back that almost anybody in this league on the right day, especially if their offense just skips a beat, I think anybody can kind of get these guys, especially on the road. So, I don't think all hope is lost. Far from it. We're just certainly not the favorites on paper.
Absolutely. And you touched on Brugman there as well as Delgado, and they just kind of cover up the weak points that, the few weak points that Ricky Puig has, and they're on the defensive side of the ball, and they're able to allow him to kind of just run free and wreak havoc on the offensive side. So they are well put together. If we can find a way to kind of stretch them out and get that defense, vulnerable where their defensive mids are potentially a little more pushed up, then I do think we can get on the board here. I think we're going to be able to score. It's just going to be, are we going to be able to outscore this team? And, that I kind of hinted at how I wanted us to approach this game, and I'm still just not kind of sure. If you're trying to play the possession game here, you can just get hit so quickly versus this team and find yourself in the hole. And then you kind of have to come out of that style, and then you can get hit again really quickly. And now you're just, the game is almost completely out of hand. But I'm interested to see the starting lineup that we're going to roll out here. Obviously, the status of Owen still very much lingering. I'd be surprised to shocked if we get any sort of Leo minutes. I don't know how you feel about that.
I'm in the same camp. I do kind of half expect to see him activated this weekend and available off the bench, but the fact that we have Julio Cascante, Matt Hedges, and I guess assuming Brendan Hines, assuming all 3 of those guys have been able to make it through this week of practice unscathed, and of course, the way Owen Wolf's injury was reported last week, it could be after our media availability on Thursday that something happened. So again, knocking on all the wood in sight that those guys can stay healthy. I do think from a couple whispers, a couple things that I've seen and heard around this week, I think they're expecting the Owen Wolf ankle injury to keep him out again this week and potentially even longer, which obviously is not great. Yeah. So I'm with you, man. I'm very interested to see how the coaching staff is going to approach this match, whether or not you want to sit back and try to be as staunch defensively as we have been on the road, or if you want to, and we've seen this at home pretty much every time, I think. And I do lean towards the coaches choosing this path, is try to be more aggressive, try to control the ball a little bit more, and get into a little bit of a shootout with this team. Because again, I think it's hard for me to see us coming out of this unscathed again with how good this team, how threatening this team has been on offense.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you can beat them as well, almost at their own game. So I think that's where I lean right now, but I'm not surprised to see us come out and really sit back and try to just get them on the counter and keep it a more, kind of put the game in the mud. I'm not shocked by that, but I do think we're going to try, again, just because of what we've seen, this track record this season, that we really open up the throttle might be a little bit strong of a term, but more aggressive, certainly, offensively at home.
What are you thinking for the center back pairing here? I think that's a big question that's kind of lingering for me, because it's like, do you need the offensive prowess of Julio back there in this matchup, or is it more important to have two more sound defenders, more disciplined defenders in the back there with Heinz Ike and Matty Hedges there?
Yeah. I'll say it's almost like we have so many center backs now that are coming, with Leo back healthy. Now we get four. Yeah. I start tripping over my words trying to remember all of our acceptable center backs here. Give me Julio and Heinz Ike. Especially at home. And I think that's maybe something we can see in May as Leo starts to regain his fitness, is changing those center back pairings based on if we're on the road or at home, because we've had such a stark contrast in our game plans in trying to really muck it up and grind it out on the road, where we've been a little bit more free. And again, allowing guys like Julio and Heinz Ike to progress the ball up the field, whether it's at their feet or just distributing out of the back there. So it's Julio and Heinz Ike for me. But again, I don't think I'm upset seeing any pairing among those four, because I think they've all had their ups. Some of them have had some downs, right?
Yeah,
that's part of the season, but I think all of them have been really solid. Again, compared to the expectation 2 months ago.
For sure. And I mean, if we're going to play that possession style and really try to control this game and control how fast the pace is and dictate the pace in order to prevent them from really getting loose on us, then you can't be sloppy with the ball. And that's something that's definitely going to be, what I'm looking for. Any sort of unforced turnovers or errors can lead to a drastic swing in the momentum of this game. I think you may be able to frustrate them a little bit if you're controlling the possession and they're not able to get out and kind of run. You got to be physical with Ricky, which you highlighted in your article. He's a smaller kind of guy, but still, you got to be able to put him on his butt every now and then, again, just so that he knows, this isn't going to be a free run towards our net. I think you'll see the shell defense that we've been, leaning on so much this season really be even more compact and allow them to try to take these longer strikes from outside the box and hope Stuver can handle them, which he has so far this season to an excellent degree. It's just eventually they're going to break through. Like it is an inevitability. Like with Paintsel, Peck, Joveljic, Pooch.
Sure feels like it.
Yeah, they're going to break through at some point, and you're going to have to keep your composure and, understand that this is a 90-minute plus game to go in there and just try to, grind it out versus this team, because I don't see how you can think that we match up talent-wise with them in any sort of favorable way. And then the wing position is something else that I'm looking at here. Did Rigoni get propelled into the starting lineup with his performance last week? Are we going to see CJ again on the bench? Some questions that are lingering. In the most ideal world, and I know I'm going to have to dig deep to find a way for us to get a win here and go through. I like to approach it as my Doctor Strange way of picking a game. Go through 15 million different outcomes and find the one where we get a win, and then just latch onto that. So it's going to be interesting, man. But I think our boys are going to be up for it. We're on a good streak right now. We're on a very good run. They had an interesting matchup with San Jose there, got the red, still ended up winning that game. So I think we're going to be up for it. If we're going to be able to follow through with that is a different question.
Yeah, it's certainly a different question. I guess let me ask you this, because we talked about the center backs. You touched on the wing situation there. If Owen Wolf is out again, who are you starting there? Are you going Finley again? Is it Emmy? Is it CJ? Like, what are you looking for at that right wing spot? And I guess it could be left wing if it's Emmy or CJ.
Man, it's
I'd say it's Finley for me.
And then even then he's got nothing.
I know.
You know, like if we're judging Emmy based on what he has this year, he's got one. And Finley, he's not on the board, and this might be the time to go for it. You know what I mean? Sure. Like this might be the time. It's not a hot hand kind of situation where like he's coming off a bunch of different games, but his confidence probably has never been higher this season.
It's as hot as we've got, bro.
Yeah, it's a warm plate that we can throw out there. You know what? Okay, yes, give me Emmy Rigoni with the start.
Okay,
go ahead and do it.
I think I might have just persuaded myself / listened to you, like, because when else again, and how does he?
Yeah, when's he gonna get a shot?
When's he going to be able to build on it, right? And if scoring that winner off the bench doesn't get you over Ethan Finley, like what will?
For sure. And, like just from the talent standpoint as well, it's like we know at his core, he has more on-ball talent than Finley possesses. So it's something we're going to need. Again, we are very limited in our roster, and, go ahead and give me Rigoni with the start here.
Yeah. I think that also would benefit us, depending on who you talk to. We're not super hot on how Emmy was on sets and corners earlier this year, but I think I'd still rather have him on those or with those responsibilities compared to Alex Ring, who was on them last week.
Yeah, or Danny. Sometimes that we get Danny floating around in there as well. So I think we talked ourselves into it, and we sound really excited.
I think we have the appropriate level of, worry here for the situation that we find ourselves in. But again, Emmy put step one down, that first building block. And, if he gets that opportunity, certainly be cheering for him to continue, on that upward trajectory. And it's not going to be linear, right, for him from here on out for Emmy Rigoni. But anything we can get out of him is more than we thought we were going to get 2 weeks ago. So that's a positive.
Hey, well, look, man, if there was ever a game to fucking change the whole narrative, here it is, brother. Like it's out there in front of you. So go ahead and seize the moment as best you can.
All right. I don't think I have anything else. Unless you got something else to add, I'll ask you, as I always do, how much is Austin FC winning by on Saturday?
All right. Let me do my calculations. Okay.
Dr.
All right.
E.
I just ran through millions of scenarios. Give me 3-2.
Okay.
Austin win with two absolutely massive Stuver saves to propel us to victory here with a bit of good luck on our side. Give us one fluke bullshit goal that we can just bank in there. Give us that. And that's how we're going to be able to get this job done and get the 3 points at home and protect this fortress.
I've got 3-2 as well, E. But it's the opposite direction. I've got 3-2 Galaxy, again, leaning into the idea that it could be somewhat of a shootout here. We're no stranger to those, right? I think last 3 home matches, right, were Dallas 3 goals total, San Jose 7 goals total, 4 against Philly, 4 against St. Louis. Like, these games have been much more open at home. It ain't going to change, I think, with the Galaxy coming to town. So 3-2 win for E. 3-2 loss for me, unfortunately. But again, we get even a point here. Again, I'm certainly not devastated. And again, we are the second biggest home underdogs this week. The other team, in Vegas, the other team that has worse odds to win at home this week than us is taking on Lionel Messi and Inter Miami. That's New England. So again, we're up against it here. But this team has proven not just us, almost everybody wrong at multiple points throughout this season. And so we could see that fight again, and hopefully Eastradamus is correct here.
Hey, we'll take it. One thing I know for sure is that this team is not going to lay down,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's really what I'm going to be asking out of them is to come out and fight and continue the good fight for 90 plus minutes. And we can live with those results at the end of the day. You've done a good job banking some points here,
Hmm.
getting some good wins to set yourself up for difficult matchups like this one. And, I'd be thrilled with the point that would give us 10 points in 5 games there, particularly with that type of schedule that we have gone through. And, if you flash back out of 3 or 4 weeks when we were talking about this upcoming schedule and looking at how difficult it was, I don't see how we could be too devastated with those results if we are able to secure a point here. So best of luck, boys. Give them hell.
Yeah, and keep banking those points however you can, because if you look ahead, I don't want to jump too far ahead here, but our next 3 road dates, at Vancouver, no wins up there. At Dallas, no wins up there. At San Jose, no wins out there.
Yeah.
So again, I think we're going to go out and win one of those 3 games over the next month. But again, it's not getting any easier. And where maybe some lower profile teams are coming to Q2 over the next month, and again, like San Jose is at the bottom of the Western Conference right now. We're packed in here, 6 matches in the month of May. So they start coming even quicker. Let's move on here. Let's talk about the rumor that popped up on Tuesday. I think it was our boys over at We Are Austin TV that sourced this first from a Hungarian outlet. And I'm just going to call it CSAC Fosi because I have no chance of pronouncing this correctly. So according to this Hungarian outlet, Henry Wingo, who is an American national, he's won 4 championships and a Hungarian Cup since arriving with, I'm going to give this a shot, Ferencváros in the Hungarian league. 4 championships with them since arriving in 2021. He's a 28-year-old center back and right back for this club. And he is a product of the Seattle Sounders Academy. He was with the Sounders Academy from 2012 to 14. Then he was at UW with the Huskies from 14 to 16. 22 first-team appearances with the Sounders between 17 and 19, including 31 with Tacoma, so bouncing up and down there in the Sounders system. Then over to the Norwegian League for Mold. that was what I think the one of the biggest rivals of Lillestrøm, where Ruben Gabrielsen has now returned. So that's the only thing I know about that club. And then since 21 here in the Hungarian league with Ferencváros. So any initial thoughts on Henry Wingo there? Because I have a couple.
Yeah, I have some questions as well. First one is he's obviously not taking up an international spot if he does come, right? Which I think is definitely giving him more of a favorable profile to bring him over with how we're trying to build this club right now.
Sure.
When you sent me that rumor and I got to get eyes on it and obviously go take a look at Henry, I was a bit perplexed with the positions that he played and looking at the current roster and how this team has looked thus far, particularly on the back line. And we talked about these 4 CBs we have right now and how we're pretty much content with the rotation that they've been able to put in. And we don't even have our best one right now. On paper, Leo is still our top CB. So I would foresee him being pushed out wide, probably to that right back position, which then we have talked about before with the arrival of Biru and other things that have swirled around the rumor mill here, and kind of unlocking Johnny and allowing him to be more of a utility piece that we can move around different places. Now you see this absence of Owen Wolf, and we have some big questions on the wing. Well, that's something that Johnny could have been, plug and play in that type of situation. So I'm not entirely sure of the vision that we have for Henry here. But again, I still trust in Roto and trust in the vision that this team has. And Henry obviously has a great profile. The Sounders Academy is one of the best in this league, and to be able to go over to Europe and get some legitimate playing time for quality clubs over there is great. So we'll see how this progresses and everything. But what are the questions that you have? What are you looking at?
Well, I think first of all, I'm definitely skeptical on this actually coming to fruition.
As we should be with all of these rumors.
Yeah, and Dessler was Tom Bogert official now, right? Which to me means that paperwork has come through the league office. We heard Roto say he has signed somebody already, so we think Dessler's on the way. My first thought seeing right back rumor is because Dessler is currently injured. I think he's expected to be just fine by the time he gets to us. But my first thought was like, oh no, like is it worse than we know or than they're letting on there at Toulouse? Then I think about the idea and the conversation that has happened, not just here on this podcast, but on a number of other independent media pods or sites or what have you, that we're maybe trying to build towards a 3-back system with those wing backs who play a little bit more extended up the pitch, more of a box midfield. Because there is, let's say Wingo was coming. He's a little over 6 foot. Mikael Dessler, over 6 foot. Guilherme Biru, over 6 foot. Like we got these sizable, skilled, because again, Wingo played some midfield and winger for Seattle. Again, hasn't been in that position for a number of years now, but just those skill sets and the physical profile of some of these guys, just to me, kind of fits with the idea, the possibility that we may be changing that style as we go forward. And again, maybe that doesn't come to full fruition until maybe Driussi has moved on. But that was just another thought. Again, that would be 2, maybe 3 years down the road. But then my other question is, where the hell would he even fit? Because we know we have one open senior spot right now. Again, assuming that, and salary cap Christmas has to be around the corner. Transfer window closed yesterday on Tuesday. So our interpretation is that Danny Pereira is on a senior spot. That is not reflected on the league site, so he may still be in a supplemental spot, which would open up another senior spot and give us a lot more flexibility in conjunction with the 2 buyouts that we will have in that summer window. So again, I know we've talked about potential buyouts on guys like, at the bottom of these salary rungs with like a Matt Bersano as a 3rd goalkeeper on the senior roster. I think that is the easiest one just from a roster building perspective and nothing else to make the case for getting a buyout there. And then of course, freeing up a DP spot if you were able to buy out or potentially sell Emiliano Rigoni. You just send that highlight of the goal from last Saturday out to every club in the world. Maybe you get a bite. And I think there's a couple of other guys that we could make the case for, but maybe it doesn't just have to be a buyout. What if it's a trade of somebody like John Gallagher? And I'm not the first one to come up with this, but I think he would slot in pretty nicely to any other contender that maybe needs some help on their back line. Again, a utility guy who can also play on the wing. I don't think that's likely because we've got him locked up through 2026, I think, maybe even 27. I mean, we've got the depth chart here year by year. So John Gallagher under contract through 26, under control with that option through 2027 on $300K.
And that's just, those are good figures, man. I would hate to see him traded intra league with those numbers just to make room for somebody new.
I agree.
That's some interesting speculation on your end. We talked briefly about this 5-back when we were looking at this Houston matchup and how we could potentially adjust for the departure of Julio on the yellow card suspension. And, we haven't shown any sign of busting this out. Like it hasn't even come out in in-game adjustments when we've either been looking to hold on to a lead or looking to, try to get a goal late or something like that. So
it was just St. Louis and Dallas, right? We had like 5 to 10 minutes at the end of those games where we brought in the extra center back. But again, to your point, it hasn't been part of the plan until we're holding on by the skin of our teeth at the end of some of these matches.
And then even then, it's like you bring on the Punisher and Valencia and just essentially have him act as another center back in
Right,
that
right, right.
situation. So, that's interesting speculation. Again, I would hate to see if Johnny was moved with that type of contract that we have
Yeah.
with
Well,
him.
and with that type of contract, right? Like to me, that's like we need to get back. Like I don't know, we got 275 for Nick Lima, right?
Hmm.
Like with that contract and Johnny less than 18 months removed from being an all-star in this league,
Yeah.
600K GAM, maybe over 2 years. I don't know. Again, just fucking totally speculating here, but it does feel like everybody, again, it has felt like this since we first heard Roto speak about the roster. Everybody's available for the right price.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a very good point. Nobody is safe. And you look at that and it's like, is it that big of an upgrade with the size advantage there with Wingo over Johnny? Because obviously Johnny's small, but he's been in this system. He knows how we want to play. He's familiar with the guys. But again, as soon as you sent this to me, I had questions. That was the first thing. Like usually it's like, oh shit, let's go watch some highlights and watch this dude, all the good things he's done for the last 3 years, none of the bad shit, and just get really excited about it. And this one, I was just like, where does this guy fit, man? Like,
Yeah.
what are we gonna do with him? I'm assuming he hasn't seen much time or reps at these other positions that he's experimented with or was experimented with in the academy at Seattle. But do
Yeah.
you have anything on that? Yeah.
No, I know that he hasn't been up like playing the wing for his Hungarian club, which
Hmm.
by the way, they are the absolute monsters of this league. I guess you could probably infer that from him being there for 4 years and having 4 championships, but 65 points currently through their 29 matches played. They are
Jesus.
15 points clear of the field, 40 plus 45 goal differential. That is 26 more than the next closest team in that league. So yeah, that is seems like a Bayern Munich situation. Not this season for Bayern, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Holy smokes. Would you say plus 26 on the second highest goal differential?
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's something.
I'm so glad our league's not like that.
Yeah, me too. That's the first thing that came to mind there.
Yeah.
Was just like these top heavy leagues where the rest of the teams are, East, Nottingham, Forest. Like, all right.
Well, he's so in the last like 5 matches with this team, he's played center back in a back 4, he's played right back in a back 4, and he's played right center back in a back 5. So again, that fits the mold of some of the things that we have kind of bandied about, like we were talking about with the potential formational and tactical changes that could be coming in the future. Again, I think this is probably at least twice as much time as we should have allocated to this rumor, because I think it is still the likelihood is we never hear about Henry Wingo and Austin FC again, but maybe we'll see.
I saw on Transfer Market they had it on Transfer Market too.
Yeah, they were pulling from that same source though. I looked at source code.
Okay. Yeah, checked it out. Yeah. Let's move on from Henry Wingo here.
Yeah, let's do the ticket giveaway, huh?
Oh, I've been excited for this.
Yeah. All right. So we've got the Wheel of Destiny here. We'll pull this up on the screen. Again, pulling names from YouTube comments, from Twitter retweets, from Instagram comments, from Threads reposts. So there are a number of people in here that entered all 4 ways that we talked about on last episode. So giving themselves the maximum number of entries here. And let's see who the winner is here. We will also pull 2 alternates once we stop recording. And if the person who wins doesn't get back to us by Friday, we'll move on, because we're not going to let these seats go unused here, especially on a national TV game, right?
For sure. And if you get the seats, just make sure that you let Big Fudge know that the Lakers are coming back.
Yeah. All right, we'll see. We'll see if it's 3-0 or not come Saturday. Who knows? Let's spin it.
We need a theme song for this.
Right? I need some wheel spinning music.
Ooh.
Oh, it was very close to Hernan. Congrats to Mike Sports Fan RR. That is off Twitter. So
all right.
real quick, I'm going to check Mike Sports Fan. He
All
does
right.
indeed follow us, so congratulations to Mike on winning the tickets. We will reach out to you here on Wednesday evening, and you've got till Friday morning. We'll say 10 a.m. Central to get back to us and claim those tickets. So congrats to him. And if he doesn't claim them, we'll move on to our alternates. So appreciate everybody who participated, threw their name in the hat there, especially multiple times, taking the time to go to all 4 different venues there and put your name in. We appreciate you guys participating and, kind of spreading the word about the North End here.
Yeah, man. It's a win-win, like we talked about. That's great. You're not going to do the spin again just for transparency's sake if he doesn't.
All right, we'll do it for transparency.
For transparency.
You're right. We will remove Mike Sports Fan there. We'll spin again. First alternate. We'll do 2 of them here.
I just love the colors on this thing, man.
Yeah. Oh boy, look who this is.
No. This is why we had to do it for transparency.
Fucking glad you made me do that. That is one of our good buddies.
Yeah.
In like our main group chats.
Yeah.
That is our buddy Tom. So hey, maybe Tom and son Hugh maybe can get out there for a game. We'll see. First alternate.
Oh, that's great.
All right, we'll do one more just in case. Who knows what Tom's going on? Maybe he can't make it.
That's a good chance. I gotta text this man right now.
Yeah. Gwen Nelson, that is also from X. So we've got our 2 alternates there. And again, appreciate everybody participating. Let's jump into some last business day here. And we'll jump right to the second team, taking on Ventura County again. That is the Galaxy's next pro affiliate after their rebrand. And what the hell, man? We're dealing with the LA Galaxy in first place in the West, tied at the top of the Supporters Shield standings in MLS. And you look at MLS Next Pro, top of the Western Conference in Next Pro, Ventura County FC. 4 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw through their first 6 matches here. Wins against Whitecaps 2, the Town FC, SKC 2, and Tacoma Defiance. So, not beating the dregs here, taking on some of the top teams, at least from last season. 2 guys to watch for me. I know this name from the preseason, Gino Vivi, and then also Jonathan Perez. I think 2 of the guys that you should be keeping your eyes on if you're watching this one live at the pitch or on Apple TV from your sofa. Vivi is the guy who scored the 1 goal for the Galaxy in the preseason out at Coachella this year. That ball over Kolmanich to the back post and a nice finish by him. He's a Costa Rican national. He's got 3 appearances with the first team this year, so he might actually be with the first team on Saturday. It might not even make it out there on Friday, but 5 appearances with Ventura County this season and 4 goals for them in those 5 matches. And then you look at John Perez, homegrown. He's been in the Galaxy system since 2016. Since 2021, he's got 10 first-team appearances, 47 for Galaxy 2/Ventura County FC, 10 goals for the second team in those 47 matches. And he had a hat trick of assists against Tacoma Defiance in a 5-2 win earlier this season. So Vivi and Perez are my 2 players to watch there. And again, this is another tough matchup for FC To come Friday.
Is Perez going to play? It looks like he didn't get any time these last 2 games here.
Did he?
So
I don't know. I don't have the Next Pro injury report. I don't believe they give us one.
They don't have one, but he has no minutes for these last 2 games here. Oh, well, look, that's actually never mind. Those are for call-ups.
First team. Yeah.
Yes.
Sitting on the bench.
For the U20, he's got Mexican U23 caps as well. U20. Yeah, this sounds like a good team here, man. And we are a team that's a bit in flux right now. I still think we're better than our record hints at right now. But that's something that you got to prove when you go out there and play. So, wow, it's just funny to see these teams with so many games in hand on us, and we're sitting on 2 goals to their 14.
It's been a struggle offensively. And again, it doesn't get any easier when you take CJ Fodre and put him up on the first team.
Yeah. And he's probably going to be up there.
Well, and we haven't seen Anthony Garcia, I think, since the first match this year. We know Chris Garcia is still struggling with injury. So it'll be interesting to see how we line up again. Maybe we see Micah on the wing back-to-back games here.
Yeah, Mike is the one that you can really move around a little bit. We've seen him already at the midfield. I think we've seen him at the wing position, right? And the false nine.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So he's somebody we've been able to move around a little bit. And look, at the record is one thing right now. The struggles of this team is one thing right now. But for Micah to get that work at different positions is fantastic for being at this next pro level, because the kid's a stud, and he's going to keep developing and keep growing. Bobo getting back a little late into the scene here. I don't know what was going on with him per se, but like getting him back, full rotation, week in, week out games and everything is a very good thing for this team. Again, I'll just point to what I said last week when we were breaking down their loss. Mm-hmm. I just think we have a bit of a leadership void right now in regard to personnel. And that's something that can be fixed and filled, and guys can step up and can step into that space and really help move this team along, because we know that we have talent up and down the field. Jimmy, obviously, we're still hoping for him to really pop at this point. And that can come. We've got 4 games under our belt and a ways to go. This is a good team.
All right, one thing left to do here. How much is Austin FC 2 winning by on Friday night?
I'm going to go 2-1.
All right.
Any
goal calls here?
I gave Jimmy the goal call last week, so I'm not going to put him on the spot again like that. And I'm just going to let the kid work and keep doing his thing. And eventually that's going to come for him. So, it doesn't matter what I say about, him potentially scoring or not.
Or give me a 1-0. We've been pretty staunch at the back. You mentioned just 2 goals for. Only 4 against through 4 matches. So I'll take the 1-0 here for Austin FC 2. And we don't care how you get it done, boys. Just bring us home the 3 points. We'll be cheering for you. We'll close it out with the nonsense here, Ian. Oh, boy, this best ball update is not great for the North End. Week 9, Phil West of Verde all day, taking another week. That is his 4th win in 9 weeks of play.
Never should have invited this man.
Never should. Now a 23-point lead on the field.
Wow. Yeah, these teams are leaving us in the dust. Let's go ahead and throw our little pity party and talk about how many players we've missed this season.
Well, I did want to give Phil just one more bouquet of flowers here, because his 59 in week 9 is a season high for any team in the Verde Best Ball League. So Phil still running on all cylinders. And we are now at 126 points back of Phil. And we are now holding the wooden spoon here, because Texas Ring of Fire, behind a huge Lionel Messi performance, which they've been waiting for after making him their first overall pick, 45 points for them. So they are now 2 points clear of us. Moon Tower Soccer sees their lead on 3rd place shrink after We Are Austin TV, 2nd on the week with 52 to Moon Tower 43, 47 for the Verde Pendant. They keep chugging along there, strong 2nd place right now. And you mentioned our pity party. We're going to whine about it here for a second.
Come on,
we went back. We grabbed some stats here. 33% of our available players have DNP'd, missed, not played throughout the entire season.
Not great.
You're not going to be able to win like that, E.
Not great. And we didn't draft anyone who was hurt going into the season, which is even more shocking. Our keepers have been an absolute fucking nightmare.
Yep.
Our
nightmare.
Defense has been they're just non-existent. We don't even get guys logging scores half the time. So feel bad for us listeners. Send us flowers, gifts, whatever you have, because we ain't winning this trophy.
Well, we'll jump back to some actual MLS news here just real quick. We'll mention this. I don't really know anything about this guy, but the San Jose Earthquakes have signed number 10 Hernan Lopez from Godoy Cruz in a club record deal worth around $6 million per Tom Bogert. So it's a DP deal. San Jose upgrading their attack. Not much for the Quakes fans to cheer about right now, but that's got to be a good sign for them.
Yeah, and I mean, just from the overall standpoint of the league, you start to see these really big figures getting thrown around, and that's pretty awesome. I do like that.
Oh, and I left all over the place here. I guess I just wanted to cry more about our misfortune in best ball, but I cannot leave last business day behind you without giving our buddy Nico Aristizabal his flowers for being called up to the Puerto Rican U16 youth national team. Nico, of course, the starting goalkeeper for our U17 squad, I believe has an amateur agreement with the next pro team. But again, he's just 15. So going to play in this U16 UNCAF tournament that will be May 17th through 25th in Costa Rica. And the Puerto Rican U16s will play matches against Panama, Honduras, and Nicaragua. So congrats to Nico on the call up, and good luck. We'll put that on the calendar and make sure we bring it back up around that time.
What an awesome accomplishment. Congrats, Nico.
Yeah, really great. All right, so we'll close it out with the bets here, E. And man, Saturday night, we're looking at some of our goal picks, some of our team, our money line picks, and just like, oh, we are going to get rolled in the bets this week.
But we didn't care.
And we didn't care. We just
came off shit.
We just came off the Emmy goal. We're like, all right, whatever. We'll make it up next week. And then Monday I go in there, tally it up. We actually fucking crushed it. Plus 5.35 units on the week. That gets us back into the black again. Plus 0.41 units on the season. We missed on Orlando, New England, and KC. We missed on Driussi, Jonathan Rodriguez, Tomas Chankalai, and Willie Agata. And then also the half unit on Seba to brace and Carlos Heel to score a given assist. But we hit on the pick we had talked about a lot last week, that Galaxy to win and over 2.5 against San Jose. That came close after they got that red card. But then we get goals from Petar Musa at plus 320, Denny Buanga plus 135, Emil Forsberg, our boy. He's probably our MVP in the best ball at this point. Plus 380 for Forsberg, plus 260 for Gabriel Peck. And then we get an assist from Evander at plus 180. So pats on the back to us.
That is nice. That is quite the list there. Fantastic.
So I know we perused the offerings. Again, we don't lock them in until Friday nights this season. And it's been paying off for us. So any teams that you had your eye on here before I've got a list here that I want to rattle off. Anything for you?
Definitely Miami going into New England, just the polar opposite of clubs right now. At plus money, Miami going even on the road. I think we've gotten burned on that before, but still it's hard to try to walk away from that.
Yeah. Leo Messi, Luis Suarez, healthy. I know they're beat up elsewhere, but I don't know, man. They've got a decent chance.
Yeah, they could play with 8 dudes.
Yeah, it feels pretty good to get Messi at plus money. So
yeah,
I think barring some unforeseen things popping up in the injury report, that'll probably be locked in on Friday. Looking at Philly hosting RSL. RSL's been great so far, right? Talk about high-powered offense. Chicho leading the league in goals scored, but Philly, I believe, still undefeated in MLS, and of course, still a top club and roster regardless. So minus 115 at home. I like Philly. And then Atlanta on the road taking on Chicago Fire. Atlanta plus 185. Yorgos Yakumakis getting back to full fitness here. Came off the bench last week. I would expect him to start here. So I'm looking at Atlanta as well.
I like both of those clubs. Atlanta's awesome to watch. A lot of fun to watch. They're different. They're different on the road than they are at home because there's something special at home. But still, they got the firepower to get that stuff done.
That's for sure. Red Bulls and Whitecaps are going to square off in New Jersey. You get Forsberg at home plus 220. I believe he's top 12-ish in total shots on the season per 90.
Yep.
And of course, maybe riding the heater from last weekend. But then on the other side, Vancouver can score too. Brian White plus 290, Ryan Gauld plus 360. Seriously considering taking a shot on one of those guys. And then Tomas Chankalai, another one of those guys who's up there in the shot totals, the XG totals, but I don't think has a goal yet on the season. And Miami can give it up as well. So maybe we take Miami, but also Chankalai to score, and we hope there's a shootout. I don't know. Those are just some guys I had my eye on here early in the week.
For sure. And I think that there's going to be some opportunity with Galaxy and Austin players here, just given the fact that we think this game's probably going to be high scoring as well. And the track record that we have with goals at home, San Jose game, 7 goals, 2 called back. You broke it down earlier, but yeah, there's some spots here we really like.
All right, so you can keep your eyes on the northendpodcast.com match preview article up right now. That'll be updated. Injury report will be updated on Friday and then Friday evening. If you are so daring as to tail us, that Week 10 picks article Friday evening on the northendpodcast.com. And, of course, Salary Cap Christmas coming up as well. So you got to keep your eye on that website. E, anything else for you before we get out of here on Wednesday night?
What was Buddy's name who won the ticket giveaway again?
Mike. Yeah.
Congrats, Mike. Hope you have a great time, man, if you can make it. Other than that, Verde Faithful, be extra loud for us. We will miss you.
I second that. First, only the second missed home match for either of us. Or actually, that's not true. You missed an extra one in 2022. For me, only the second missed home match since September 2021. E. So we'll see, man. If we get the win, we might have to think about staying away from Q2 more often, because the last time we missed, we won that game too. As much as it sucks to say, I mean, it could be science.
Whatever we got to do.
Yeah, we'll sacrifice for the team. We appreciate all of you tuning in, sticking with us here on episode 137 of the North End Podcast. We will be back on Sunday night recapping the match against the Galaxy, FCito's matchup against Ventura County, and, of course, talking everything else Austin FC that happens in between. Enjoy the rest of your week. Get a good night's sleep on Friday. We're up early for that match on Saturday, 12:54 kickoff on Fox and Apple TV. Looking forward to it. See you guys back here on Sunday. Until then, he's E, and I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.